Okay, so if you can divide decimals, whole numbers, if you can divide whole numbers, then you are going to be able to divide decimals because the only difference is placement of the decimals. So we're going to go over here and start taking these notes. Okay, so the concept, when you divide by 10, you're taking 1/10 of the number away. Okay, so you're taking 1/10 of the number, or you're dividing, there you go, by 10. You're dividing by 10. You're taking 1/10 of the number. The answer or quotient, which is an answer to a division problem, will be smaller. So move the decimal point to the left one place. Example, 2.3 divided by 10. If I'm dividing by 10, I am making my number smaller. If you are dividing, your number is going to be smaller. That is why I know I need to move my decimal point over, because that will make my number smaller. If I moved it this way, it'd turn it into 23. That is a larger number, okay? This is our hundreds place, our tens place, our ones place, our tenths place, and our hundredths place. Now we're very familiar with all of these. This is just a review, okay? If you are dividing by whole numbers are larger. You're going to add zeros when multiplying. So each time we're going to add a zero here, okay, to see our pattern. So we're going to look for our pattern. That's what we're doing right here, our pattern, okay? Decimals are smaller. We're going to move the decimal point left. Okay, so if I am multiplying, I'm adding zeros. If I am dividing, I'm moving to the left to make it smaller, okay? So the number of zeros I have here is the number of times that I move to the left, okay? So if I'm dividing by 1, I'm going to move the decimal point 0 times. Because if I divide a number by 1, it's still the same number. So I'm not going to move the decimal point at all if I divide by 1. If I divide by 10, I'm going to move the decimal point to the left 1 time. Oop. If I am going to divide by 100, I am going to move the decimal point to the left 2 times. 2 zeros, 2 times. If I am going to divide by 1,000, I'm going to move it to the left 3 times. This is just like when we did our place value, except we're starting with a decimal point instead of ending with a decimal point. Okay, so here are some practice problems. We're actually going to, no, we're going to do these here, and I'm going to do more over here. Okay, so right here we divided by 1, I move it 0 times, so it's going to actually stay the same. Okay, I'm dividing by 100, so I'm going to move it 2 times, and remember, I'm moving it to the left. 1, 2. So now my answer is 0.367. You could put a 0 over here if you want. It doesn't make a difference. It's the same. Now if I want to divide by 10, I'm going to move it 1 time right here, 0.973. Okay. divide by 1,000. I'm going to move it 3 times. Remember, if there's no decimal point, it's at the end. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 635 thousandths. And then divided by 100, I'm moving it 2 times. There's none, so it's at the end. Okay, there we go there. Okay, you need to understand where to move the decimal or to add zeros. Okay, so the reason why we would need to add zeros is, do you see here how I didn't have a place right here? I had nothing in that spot, so I had to add the 0 in there because I didn't have anything in there. Now, we've already talked about something like that this year. This is the only one that had that case, but make sure you know when to add your zeros, okay? Now what I would like to do is get some examples out from the textbook. So I'm going to get my textbook out. If you would like, you can open up volume 1. And we are on topic 6 actually, which is toward the end of this book. And we are going to go on to page, let's see here, 231. 231. So we're on page 231 of volume 1. If you would like to follow along, if not, you're free to copy here. So I'm going to do a pattern. I'm actually going to get a different pen so it doesn't eat through. Here we go. All right, so I have I'm going to do this one. I'm going to write down our questions first, and then we'll go back and answer them. $134.4 divided by 10 to the third. 134.4 divided by 10 to the second. We need to remember our exponents, so that's why I'm putting that in there. Okay, make sure you're copying that down. Okay, so we're going to do 8. All right, here we go. They did different colors so we can see. All right, so I'm dividing by 10. So if I look over at my notes, I'm moving it 1 time. So my decimal point goes here. So my answer is 460. Now this number is changing, but this number is not changing. So I'm still moving it 1. But I'm going to end up with a different number each time. Now, like I said, you can add that if you want. To me, it looks better, but it doesn't make a difference in the value. Okay, now this one is, I always write what they are. That's 1,000, that's 100, that's 10, and that's 1. How many zeros there are? 10 to the 0 is 1. There's 0 zeros, okay? Or You can say how many places do I move to the left? 3 times, 2 times, 1 time, 0 times. Okay, so that would help. So I move 3 times. 1, 2, 3. I move 2 times. 1, 2. I move 1 time. And I move 0 times. Oops. 134.4. Okay. All right, the next one is divided by 10. I move 1 time over. The next one is 2. I move 2 times over. My next one is 0 times. I don't move over at all. Stays the same. I move 2 times. 1, 2. So I need to add a 0 in there. 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't need to have the zeros here if I don't want to. I can actually write it like that. It's the same thing. And then I move it twice here. And there you go. I would pause it right here, finish copying it down, and then go and finish your practice problems online.